Welcome to Cafe with Cavanha. It's a pleasure to have Professor Dale Rogers with us today. Professor and researcher of business at Arizona State University, PhD. Professor Dale.
Good morning. Nice to be with you again.
Nice. Thank you very much. We saw a post from you on Twitter that you commented about on-demand warehousing. Could you please bring us this concept?
Yes, I don't know if it's in Brazil yet, and to be completely transparent, the first company to really do it, I'm part of their advisory board, so I'm part of the company. There's been a few new startups since they started. The company that I'm involved in is Flex. It looks like it should be pronounced Flexi. It's F-L-E-X-E. And it's three guys started it in 2013, so not that long ago, who had two of them, and there are three guys. The CEO sold his company to Microsoft, and the other two guys who were the programmers, they sold their company to Microsoft as well. They're looking for something to do. And, you know, in the US, the economy's been pretty good the last 5-6 years. And so in some markets, like, for example, Los Angeles, you've got 98% capacity or higher. So what that means is that all the warehouses, all the available space in the Los Angeles area, over 98% of it is rented out. Which, what does that mean? That means that it's hard to find space there. Well, at the very same time as this, where the real estate market has been hot, and it looks like, honestly, there's some signs we could be headed into a recession with all the bad trade things we're doing. But, you know, 98% space, that means that you can't necessarily locate closer to the consumer at the exact time you need to do that because of omni-channel issues. So with the omni-channel, with Amazon just exploding here in the US, you know, you need to be located closer to the consumer. And so what Flex has done, and there's some other companies, Stored and Stoga, and there's a few others that are doing this, but Flex is the original one, and they have contracted with either 3PLs or what we call 1PLs, which is, you know, a company that is operating their own distribution center but has some extra space in it. And the Flex platform sits between the customer who wants distribution, say in downtown Los Angeles or downtown Phoenix or you know, rural Illinois or whatever it is, and they contract with the warehouse that maybe is close to being full but isn't totally full. They contract with the warehousing company, and the warehousing company lets them have a little bit of space. And so it basically would be like Uber or Lyft, or in Brazil you have TruckPad, Carlos Mira, and or Airbnb, and it allows you to share assets, a warehouse in this case, that isn't completely full, and you can use a common system, and you can all of a sudden have more space in all these other places. Well, the largest warehousing company in the US is Dell DHL. You know, it's the part of DHL. I think in the US it's still called Excel sometimes. And DHL has 470 or so warehouses in the US. Well, Flex already has over 1,000. So if you had space and you would let me use it, could list your space on the Flex website, and then if I needed something in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, or wherever it is you are this morning, then I could use that. And it's a very interesting solution to what's been a pretty big problem.
So it's more like a multi-client space, and at the same time center on a system, a very dynamic system like Airbnb or Uber that you can accommodate the space you need.
Yeah, so it works very similar to Airbnb. The warehouse that has some extra space, their workers, their employees would actually do whatever the warehousing service is, and the warehouse that has the space will say, okay, we want this much money per square foot to operate for this customer that needs space. And then the customer can choose, well, this facility is $2 a square foot, this one's $2.50, but this $2.50 is in the right spot or whatever, and can make decisions that works out best for both companies.
So you mean the costs are higher or lower than a normal store space comparing? Because
well, this is interesting, Cavanha. This is really interesting because for a 3PL makes their money by leasing space, right? I mean, that's how they make their money. But let's say a company, and what I was calling a 1PL, those companies might just want to pay for their, just try to amortize the cost of some of the space they already have, and they may price below market costs that they have. So here's a real example. Company has about 1 million square foot warehouse to support some grocery stores in a big metropolitan area. Right now, they don't have many grocery stores there. They only need about 100,000 square feet out of that 1 million square feet. They got 900,000 feet that's mostly empty. And so they said, well, bring some customers in here, Flex, and we'll operate for you. And really, we just want to cover our costs. So they're pricing in a metropolitan area, they're pricing very low. So it could be higher than normal, or it could be lower.
It's a dynamic system, so you can have both.
Right. And the space provider can price it however they think they want to. And then Flex will put a small markup on that.
Good. And tell me, Dale, it's good for small companies because they do not need to make investments. And at the same time, it's good for big companies that have temporarily...
Well, yeah. So I can talk about real customers these guys have. So Walmart, which is the biggest company, they're using Flex for several sort of startup things, and they're using it to position equipment in advance of the fourth quarter of 2019. And so large companies are using it. Ace Hardware, which is a do-it-yourself hardware store in the US. I don't know if there's something exactly like it in Brazil. But then also you've got smaller companies. In the US, we're having these online mattress wars where people are, the mattresses that you sleep on have been overpriced in the United States for a long time. And we're seeing a lot of online competitors come at the overpriced mattresses. And one of the big new mattress companies is using Flex as the major way they're doing distribution. And how are they doing it? How are they doing pick, pack, and fulfillment? Well, there's a document storage company, and as you might imagine, document storage is not as great of a business as it used to be because of electronic records and so on. And so that company is all over the US, and they have a lot of excess capacity now. And they've listed it on Flex, and this small mattress startup that's growing very quickly uses, through the Flex platform, uses the document records people who are now shipping mattresses, you know, from online orders over the internet, and it works pretty well. And so this company, the document storage company, had excess capacity. The mattress company is growing. They don't have to have their own facilities. They can locate pretty close to the customers, and it seems like it's working out for everybody.
That would be interesting for oil and gas exploration campaigns, because are temporarily for some regions.
Right. Yeah, I think we're seeing there's two forms of this a little bit that are interesting. One is the on-demand warehousing, and another one is sort of pop-up warehouses that some of the traditional 3PLs are doing. And they're doing many of these around the fourth quarter in the US as you get close to Christmas. But the on-demand, if you need a facility for 30, 60, 90 days, instead of building your own asset and taking down a 3-year lease, which in the US is what most of the commercial real estate companies want you to do, maybe you just need a little bit of space close to the site. And I think that Flex has some oil and gas customers that, you know, out in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming or North Dakota, and you put stuff there for a while, and then when you're done, you close it down and move it out of there.
Yeah, perfect. And Dale, how big can be this market? I mean, because the conventional stores, of course, will be forever, and it's only a part of the total storage capacity.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't think anybody does right now. There are some companies like the mattress company I was talking about that are using them as their total warehousing solution. But I would guess that's not going to happen as often as using it as a partial solution. So like, for instance, Walmart's not going to give up their giant distribution centers, but for certain things, they're using Flex as a temporary, you know, a short-term, because you can ramp this up very quickly because you got people already operating in the warehouse, and then you can ramp it down. And so I would guess that this will be part of a company solution. And one of the things we're talking about, and if your listeners want it, I'd be happy to share. We wrote about this, Elliot Rabinovich and I, in a document called The Warehouse of the Future. I'd be happy to share that with everybody. It was sponsored by JDA, the big supply chain software company that's based here in town. And we talked about this, but I think that what you want is a portfolio of warehouses, a portfolio of distribution centers of different types. For Walmart, you're going to have these 1 million square foot behemoths. They're just huge. And then maybe you want some smaller, close to some sort of operation, close to a consumer in downtown LA or downtown Phoenix or New York that you can pop up and then also pop down.
Interesting. It's similar to Airbnb. They are getting very, let's say, big opportunities, but they are growing very fast in terms of conventional hotels and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, So as you know, I have 5 kids, and my 4th child is my youngest son. I have a daughter that's younger than him, but my youngest son, and he just got a job in Tucson, Arizona, and he started last week. And we moved him into his apartment this weekend. But last week, instead of staying in a hotel or commuting from Phoenix to Tucson, which is a couple-hour commute, he stayed in an Airbnb. So he's 26, and 26-year-olds, mostly instead of staying in hotels, they're using Airbnb. And it's really changing how hotels are working. And hotels, truthfully, here are starting to list on Airbnb, interestingly.
Interesting, because the total costs must be the minimum costs. So the
Right. It's a way of minimizing cost. A lot of times, and you're also able to find a facility closer to where you want to be. So it's kind of a win-win, actually.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much, Dale Rogers, Professor, for this conversation. Very interesting.
Well, it's always good to be with you, and I'll be back down in Brazil for the ELOS forum. You know, I don't really speak Portuguese, but the Portuguese I do speak is like a carioca. You know, I'm a Vasco da Gama supporter and a sort of a honorary carioca. So the ELOS forum, I think it's in September, and hope to see you there.
In Rio?
Well, actually, it's in Sao Paulo this year. Yeah.
Come to Rio and let's have a coffee here together.
Yeah, sounds great.
Excellent. Appreciate this conversation. Thank you very much, Dale Rogers, Professor. Have a
Thank you very much.